regional championships here. We have Aaron Grubbs, also known as LP Fan, up against Hans Knutson, also known as Fossa. Hans, and we're just jumping right into team preview here. Hans both these players bringing, of course, the ever-present Landorus Therian.
So Hans' team is Thundurus, Hydreigon, Conkeldurr, Suicune, Landorus, and Metagross. He'll be on the top of your screen. Aaron's on the bottom, running Scrafty, Landorus, Charizard, Rotom, Cresselia, and Heatran.
Interesting team compositions here. I kind of like Aaron's team looks actually a little like a Trick Room team, only very slightly, but in the sense that a lot of these Pokemon that are slow enough that Trick Room can be very useful as a measure of team of speed control. But of course, Icy and probably works as well. It's a bit of a liability against Bisharp though. With Hans' team, looks like Metagross is the primary lane here versus Aaron's Charizard. Could be a bit of a mad matchup. Yeah. Hot fire against the Steel. Nobody making any jokes about Steel beams here.
Alright, so we're going to jump straight into this match. Let's see what leads we've selected. Aaron's decided to send out Landorus and Rotom against Hans's Conkeldurr and Landorus. So they're both going to get off the immediate Intimidate, lowering the attack stat. I guess if we could say anyone has an advantage, you could say Aaron does, because his Rotom really doesn't mind that Intimidate.
Yeah, although, you know, Conkeldurr sometimes carries Ice Punch, but I think Aaron is pretty aware of this at this point as a seasoned player. So he's probably going to try and protect that Landorus, keep it out of harm's way, maybe, and get rid of that attack drop. Rotom, on the other hand, there is nothing on Hans' team that could switch into a Will-O-Wisp and take it well. Well, actually, no. I mean, Conkeldurr is already out in the field. Hydreigon, sure. It actually takes... No. It would have... Hydreigon does not get hit by the U-turn there. Conkeldurr takes the hit, takes negligible damage. And we see Aaron
deciding what to send in next against Hydreigon, and Conkeldurr goes with the Scrafty. And that's the advantage to using U-turn instead of switching out right away. You get to actually see if your opponent switches first.
Yeah, and then that's actually a nice type resistance synergy there. I mean, it's not likely Hans is going for the Drain Punch in the Scrafty slot there since Landorus resists fun there. So, good switch in. U-turn really helps making those safe switches there. Conkeldurr revealing a Life Orb, which means it may be an Iron Fist variant there, and therefore vulnerable to Will-O-Wisp, especially.
That'd be a risky choice to make. I mean, I'd hate to burn something and find out it does more damage.
Well, at this point, both players are now currently 4-1. If either one whoever wins here has a good chance of going to the top cut, and so they might be wanting to make safer plays here. Aaron might probably not want to Will-O-Wisp at Conkeldurr if there's any chance of it being a Guts variant.
I mean, I could see that in a top cut format where you know, if it's the last couple turns and you're not going to win, try and Will-O-Wisp it, see what happens. So
we see that fake out on the Hydreigon, not attacking. Rotom going for the Thunder Wave on the Hydreigon too. So effectively, that really nerfs its offensive potential there. Another Drain Punch coming out into the Scrafty slot, just over half health. And of course, so Aaron not taking that risk on burning the Conkeldurr. If it even has Will-O-Wisp. I mean, if it has Thunder Wave, it doesn't have too many move slots available.
True. So Scrafty within another knockout range of Conkeldurr. It is faster though, so it could hit that Hydreigon maybe with his own Drain Punch and gain enough HP back that it wouldn't be knocked out.
I imagine Hans would see that coming and switching to Landorus. Like, he's switching.
So
he is doing a switch right now, and nope, for Suicune.
Instead sending out Suicune over that Hydreigon. Rotom protects itself this time, so I would say you're right. It likely doesn't have a Will-O-Wisp, and Scrafty does try to Drain Punch the Hydreigon. Instead, hitting that Suicune doesn't do much damage at all. Suicune is so incredibly bulky.
Taking even more damage from the Rocky Helmet. It almost lost as much health as it gained back.
So Conkeldurr does get the knockout on Scrafty with one final Drain Punch.
Good prediction on Han's part, seeing that Protect coming.
Or perhaps just thinking, okay, let's get rid of this Scrafty now. If it's going to Drain Punch my Suicune, it's not going to gain enough HP back.
Yeah, well, Scrafty really isn't an offensive threat, so to speak, but it is kind of a bit of annoyance with Fake Out really disrupting the timing there. And out comes the Charizard there. Because the Charizard Y variant, as they so often are, that could be a bit of a problem for the Suicune there. It's not going to hit much after, with Scald after, or Hydro Pump after any water moves. Conkeldurr, it may be having Rock Slide. Some other move that can hit Charizard super effective. I haven't seen Rock Slide on a Conkeldurr in a while, though.
Yeah, true.
So, Charizard may or may not be putting Aaron back in good position there. He is taking a bit of a risk not knowing Conkeldurr's moveset.
What's going on over there?
So, and of course,
Hans takes out his Conkeldurr, instead sending in that Hydreigon that we just saw in the battlefield, as Charizard does reveal that it is indeed Mega Charizard Y. Mega Evolving, bringing out the Sun, like you mentioned, that's going to reduce the damage output from any Water-type attacks from Suicune, and also boost the Fire-type attacks. Suicune protects itself, maybe from an incoming Solar Beam.
Or Thunderbolt. Nope. There
And
goes
Charizard
the Heat
with
Wave.
a Heat Wave. It does hit Hydreigon, but that's not going to do enough damage to knock it out. Suicune does protect itself from Rotom's Thunderbolt. And
even though I don't even play this game.
so,
Wow, okay. So, Hydreigon about to be taken out by another Heat Wave there. You know, if I had to guess, Hans Conkeldurr probably does not have Rock Slide. If he did, he probably would have taken the chance to probably would have realized that was his most likely chance of taking it out then and there.
So Charizard with another Heat Wave. Suicune dodges the attack this time, and Hydreigon is knocked out with a critical hit despite that type resistance. Rotom with a Thunderbolt on Suicune this time. Does hit, does a good chunk of damage, about 50%, and Suicune with a Tailwind. So that's going to increase its speed and be faster than Charizard this time.
That Conkeldurr might actually be faster. So I think that maybe that Conkeldurr does have Rock Slide after all. But he decided to opt. Well,
if Conkeldurr doesn't have Rock Slide, Landorus surely does, and it's gonna hit that Charizard, take away a lot of damage.
Yeah, in fact, if Sun is with, here is where Aaron's own Sun is actually hurting him. Hydro Pump is not going to be able to do a lot of damage to that Landorus after, thanks to the Sun, and it can't use Will-O-Wisp against it either, because it only has Thunder Wave in that slot.
So interesting, Charizard protects itself this turn. Landorus with a U-turn, going to return to its trainer and maybe save another Intimidate for later. Rotom Wash eats its Citrus Berry to restore some health, and Hans must decide what to bring out next. We're going to see that Conkeldurr, it's his only remaining Pokemon. Suicune with an Ice Beam into Charizard's Protect, and Rotom with another Thunderbolt. That will knock out the Suicune, so quick turn of events.
Yeah, that is... I mean, of Hans' 4 turns of Tailwind, he didn't really capitalize on the one he had here. And now that he's back down to 2 Pokemon, if that Landorus is choiced as a choice item, there's no way he can switch moves now. He can't switch to another Pokemon and switch moves at all. So
Charizard returns to its trainer as Aaron instead sends out his own Landorus. So good call, going to get an Intimidate off on both of those physical attackers and reduce their damage output. Hans has no way of resetting that attack. Rotom protects itself this turn. And we see that the opposing Landorus uses a Rock Slide into Aaron's own Landorus, only does about 10% damage, and Rotom protects itself from Conkeldurr's Drain Punch.
yeah, Hans really isn't making the most of his Tailwind turns here, unfortunately for him.
But he did pick the right move to lock his Landorus into if it is a choice item.
Perhaps, but
it's not going to do
still
much
a
to the Pokemon on the field.
Here. And of course, and if I had to guess, Aaron might switch in that Charizard next just to take the drain. Well, no, actually that would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
That would take a Rock Slide. So
another Rock Slide from Landorus. Still not doing very much
Collins
damage.
fishing for some flinches here. Aaron going for the Earthquake to Landorus. That should do a significant chunk to Conkeldurr here.
Takes
Fair
it down
enough.
to less than 50% as Rotom connects on a Hydro Pump. With the sun up, it still manages to do over 50%, so things are not looking too good for Hans as Aaron's Rotom is knocked out. Well, maybe.
This actually might be a turning point for Hans here. I mean, Tailwind is about to just petered out, but Hans still has a Choice Scarf. I presume it's Choice Scarf. Landorus that can throw Rock Slides at the Charizard there. With Intimidate up, it's not going to KO, but he could go for a Lucky Flinch there. So it's...
So Charizard's goal has got to be eliminate that Landorus. It can only survive at least one, if that, and then hopefully clean up the Conkeldurr. We can, I guess if he uses Earthquake again with his Aaron's own Landorus, that could do enough damage to that Conkeldurr and put it within knockout range.
Of course, Charizard goes to protect there, not wanting to take any risks.
Conkeldurr protects itself as well, probably from another Earthquake. We'll see. A Rock Slide does not hit Charizard, it does hit Aaron's Landorus. It went first again,
And a
Landorus
flinch. Well, there's the
flinches.
flinch that Hans was looking for, but he probably would have wanted to turn the Charizard was trying to attack, actually. But, so, Hans gains a slight advantage during that turn. Charizard has just burned its guaranteed protect. And gotten a little more chip damage off of that Landorus there. But if Charizard survives, does not flinch, a Heat Wave will finish Hans out here. So he's really got to count. He's counting on those flinches here.
Conkeldurr with Mach Punch doesn't do much damage to Charizard, but hoping beyond all that this Rock Slide can finish out that Charizard.
Yeah, I'm sure he was hoping for a little chip damage just so Charizard would KO, but that's not really enough, unfortunately.
Earthquake hits that Conkeldurr, does knock it out, and Hans is down to one.
Oh, there's a flinch that Hans was looking for.
Now, here's the question. Is Aaron's Landorus locked into Earthquake? Because it used it twice in a row. And
I'm pretty sure it is.
it is slower than Hans so far.
I mean,
that'd be so unfortunate.
I'm ready to be pleasantly surprised here, but if that's not a choice, Landorus.
All right, another Rock Slide from Hans' own Landorus. Some more damage off.
Another flinch. Another day.
Aaron's got to cross his fingers and hope that Charizard is able to dodge, but no, does hit. Charizard goes down. And that looks like a critical hit on Landorus, so just a few remaining HP left and another flinch. So my goodness, Hans is...
And
those Rock Slides are pretty devastating at this point.
Well, when you're in a losing position, you can almost always count on a Rock Slide to give you a chance to weasel out of it. So,
all right.
Tough cookies, Aaron. Tough cookies.
Well, this was round
6. Sorry,
my
I keep.
goodness.